I was thinking about that the other day, Patrick. Is that a family trait? Was your son also born in that same state?
I would say my son might have been physically ready, but I think psychologically he was very much not ready to be outside and expressed that fact loudly. Now he's good though. Now he's super happy.
Now he's awesome. All right.
It took him a couple of months.
Yeah, it seems like that picture you posted the other day, which is the cutest thing in the world. He's like raring to go.
Oh yeah, he is. Now he's as good now as he was bad before. So
he's a year, right? Over a year old?
No, he's 7 months.
7 months. Wow.
Ooh.
Things seem so long.
Yeah, and he started crawling. That's fantastic because I build towers of toys at the other end of the room, and he makes it his mission to get there and destroy them.
Like father, like son.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, Patrick has a room and dedicated to his passion of building up things and then crawling over
and destroying them. Yes, absolutely.
You mean destroying the competition?
Oh. Or maybe just a partition.
All right, are we ready to go?
I am good.
Well, I am good.
Tom,
I am great.
You know in what state I was born in.
Yes, I think we're all very clear on that. Please buy the t-shirts at dailytechnewsshow.com/store. Available for babies. Okay. How's 10 seconds work for everybody? Good. All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Thanks to everyone who supports Daily Tech News Show directly. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support. This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, September 11th, 2018 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
And from the very dark Finnish countryside, I am Patrick Beja.
And I am in a very brightly sunny area of the LA County Greater Metropolitan.
Sunny like your disposition, Roger.
It is. This is actually one of my sunnier dispositions, believe it or not.
I mean, folks, I'm not going to lie. He's right. It's true. You can hear the smile in his voice. I'm trying to make sure there hasn't been a tsunami recently because I tend to like to compare the day before an Apple announcement to the water leaving a bay when a tsunami is on its way. I don't want that.
Are you alluding to today's lineup, Tom?
Yeah, well, I mean, there just isn't a lot of news the day before Apple makes news because nobody wants to be seen as competing with it or not be seen because everybody won't be paying attention to it. We do have some really interesting stuff to talk about today, and let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Well, Wednesday's iPhone event, that's tomorrow, will be live streamed on Twitter for the first time. Previously, iPhone events were only available to stream through Safari, that's obviously Apple's web browser, or the Apple TV, or Microsoft Edge on Windows 10. The event starts at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time tomorrow and can also be streamed still via the Apple TV and Apple's event site.
Alibaba launched a joint venture with Russia's Mail.ru. Alibaba launched its AliExpress service in Russia several years ago, and under the new deal, will hold 48% of the business.
A little more China and Russia partnering up in all kinds of ways these days. Impossible Aerospace unveiled a new battery-powered quadcopter in Las Vegas called the US-1 that has a battery-first approach. Makes batteries great. It can fly up to 2 hours, and Aerospace has already started selling them equipped with optical and thermal sensors to firefighters, police departments, and search and rescue teams in the United States. All right, let's talk a little bit more about Facebook and its AI.
Right, because Facebook announced an AI system called Rosetta that helps teams at Facebook and Instagram identify text in images, and videos to understand the subject and classify them for search or flag as abusive. So yes, memes, of course, but that's not all. Optical character recognition detects the text, and then convolutional neural nets determine what the text says.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are like, so you just OCR the image. What's so hard about that? But that is easier said than done on an image. It's a little bit tricky, but the big trick is then taking that text that you hopefully accurately recognized and putting it through that neural net so that it can understand the context of it and know what it's saying. And then, like you said, you sure decide if that meme is too dank to be on Facebook, but also to say, oh, well, let's tag it, let's classify it, let's put it in the right library, whatever.
I mean, this is an internal company, right? That they decided to name Rosetta. That seems like, unless they
internal system, not a company, I don't think.
Well, internal system, sure, but Rosetta Stone is the first thing that comes to mind. It's
right.
Interesting that they chose that if they don't actually have any stake in that other company.
Well, and Rosetta Stone is named after the actual Rosetta Stone.
Sure. So it's not as if they're not well within their rights to call it Rosetta if they want to.
And again, it's not a brand name; it's just a code name inside of Facebook.
Yeah. So I think the first of all, for the difficulty of it, yes, it's not just OCR because memes have gotten quite convoluted, and so the
hence the need for a convolutional neural net.
But yeah, some are kind of surreal, so I don't know if they managed to understand all of those, but it's not as easy as it might sound. Some older people might not even understand, and I include myself in those.
Yes, you're pointing the finger at us right now.
Yes. But also, I think there's another challenge in this, which some people might not think of, is there are a lot of images uploaded to Facebook and videos all the time. And I think the challenge of implementing this in real time or almost real time across the entire site and network and service is an impressive achievement by itself. So I think that's also a big part of it. And the fact that it can work like that is impressive.
eBay has released Head Gaze on GitHub, an open source computer vision system that uses Apple's AR Kit to let you control an app by lifting your head or tilting it. Head Gaze was developed by eBay's computer vision team and guided by Merritt.
I'm going to say C-check. I couldn't find an actual pronunciation of it.
Yeah, me either. Okay, we'll go with C-check. An eBay intern and PhD candidate who describes himself as having an extensive motor impairments. Head motion and position moves the cursor, and then it stays in one place for a few seconds, and then it activates a click. In addition to accessibility, CSOC said that it could be used for hands-free scrolling, such as when you have a recipe. That would be helpful. The company is also investigating adding eye tracking as well.
And actually, this is an intern project over the summer. It's certainly not the first system to ever do this, but it's an intern project over the summer. C-check said, I have a hard time using these apps. ARKit has a depth sensing camera. Maybe I should put those two together and whip up something. And it's really impressive how smooth it works. And if you didn't quite get it, you tilt your head to move the cursor around, and you've probably run into systems like this before. If you hover over something long enough, it automatically clicks. I was thinking of the Dropbox scanning. If you scan a document using the Dropbox app, if you just hold it over the document in place for a while, it automatically hits the scan button for you. So it kind of works like that. If you don't want it to be clicked, you have to kind of move away to an empty area, but you don't have to do anything to make a click happen. It's if you watch the video, it's super elegant. And I love that C-check, who needs this for accessibility and is pushing this forward for accessibility, and its majority use is going to be accessibility, is saying, but hey, y'all that need to, cook and look at a recipe could use it for scrolling, or if you're working on your car and your hand, and you want to watch the how-to, you could do it. You could use it that way. There's no barrier to anybody using it for something cool.
No, I mean, I don't have any obvious accessibility, issues or hinders. But, if I'm walking my dog, I got a coffee in my hand type thing. Right. It's like, I can think of all sorts of situations where it's like really convenient once we get used to it.
And just to be clear, they implemented this in the eBay app itself. And now they're making the source code available for everyone to also, if they want to, implement or improve or whatever for their own apps. But it obviously on iOS, it's not going to be something that can be used in other apps. It's not system wide. It's
I
not
don't
something
even
that
know that they've launched it in the official eBay app. I think they just put the code up on GitHub. And yeah,
right.
it was written in
the video
Swift.
they're testing, is showing it in the eBay app.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think. So
They
that's why
wrote
I
it in Swift for the iOS eBay app. But I guess what I'm saying is if you have the eBay app, I don't think this is in there yet. They're
you're
just
right. You're right.
using
Yes.
it internally. But I love that eBay, I don't think we think of them often as one of the forefront innovators out there, has an intern who did this. They're letting him, at least not get in the way of him putting it up as an open source project on GitHub for other people to use. It could be adapted to Android. There's nothing stopping people from doing that, and available for the world. Good job, eBay.
Yay, eBay.
Back in 2010, India wanted to speed up enrollment in its Aadhaar ID system. We've talked about that before. It's a way to make an electronic ID across one of the largest democracy on the planet, India. A lot of people there. So they contracted a company called Mindtree to develop enrollment software called ECMP that would let private agencies sign people up. Now, they did a lot of vetting of the private agencies. They did a lot of making sure that the software was only given to the private agencies and only proper authenticated people could log into the software. However, they chose locally installed software instead of the web because there's poor connectivity in large regions of India. Operators were required to provide a fingerprint or an iris scan, as well as checking GPS. So they were trying to make sure it's really you and you're really where you say you are. But HuffPost India reported that a software patch had been widely circulated that bypassed those security checks. It bypassed GPS and fingerprint entirely, and it actually weakened iris scanning so that just a photo of a person would work. And then they started selling that patch on WhatsApp for around 2,500 rupees or $35 US. Operators began using the patch to charge more than they're supposed to sign up users, because if they were authenticated themselves, they were limited in what they could charge. But if they could just kind of sneak around and not be known it was them with this patch, they could charge people $100 to sign up. Aadhaar has stopped the third-party enrollments now, only allows banks and government institutions like the Postal Service to enroll new users. And the patch that HuffPo found was examined by several security experts, including Dan Wallach, who is a professor of computer science and electrical and computer engineering at Rice University in Houston. So it is a real patch. It's been validated by several experts. It was really out there. I think there's some misinterpretation that this is accessing people's information. It wasn't. The danger here is that you could sign up people for the system without the proper checks and balances in place. So you could sign up fake people, or you could sign up someone who shouldn't have qualified from anywhere in the world because you bypass the GPS.
Yeah, and anytime you get into something like democratic elections, that's a huge problem.
Rationing. There's rationing in some
that
places.
too.
They could start hoarding things and then sell them on the black market. It's not a good thing, and there's a lot of controversy over Aadhaar about whether it's actually secure. This doesn't mean that Aadhaar's database of your information is insecure if you're an Indian citizen. It's the other way around. It means that not all the information in Aadhaar might be legitimate, which weakens it in a different way, I think.
Do we know where the patch comes from? Who developed it and started selling it?
No, I didn't see anything in the HuffPo article that was able to identify who did it, but it looked like it was a pretty easy cut and replace. They took some code from older versions of the client and were able to just paste it over a Java library, and boom, it worked. So it didn't seem like it was terribly sophisticated. Wouldn't have to be like an advanced persistent threat or a state actor or anybody like that.
So it was probably, now we're speculating, but it seems like it could have been someone who was trying to make a quick buck and selling this patch. And okay.
That's kind of the general sense that everybody has, is somebody wanted to charge more than the maximum to sign people up, and so figured out this patch to work around the system.
Clever. Maybe hire that person. I don't know.
From jail.
Probably after they have paid for their.
I'm not saying I would throw them in jail, but if they find them, India is going to put them in jail first.
I'm guessing. So,
yeah.
Lighter news. Tinder has made its top picks available worldwide. The feature began testing earlier this summer. It is a curated list of your best potential matches available to paying subscribers on Tinder Gold. Coffee Meets Bagel already has a similar system. The curated list is used to reduce the number of options and reduce choice anxiety. Information in user profiles is combined with swipe behavior to determine the list. Top picks refreshes daily, though users can buy more top picks in amounts of 10, 20, or 30. How many top picks do you need, people?
I love the fact that Tinder is like, listen, you're crippled by choice. We get it. We'll give you something that's going to cost you money in order to better curate, and then give you all these options that are sort of hard to follow, and, best of luck.
Well, and I love that they call them packs. So like they give you 10 top picks. You're already paying for gold. They give you 10 top picks, and they're like, don't like any of those? Give us a couple more money. We'll give you a new pack. It's like collecting baseball cards. Well, I see my new Tinder pack.
And
Who's
I mean,
I know
All-Stars? I know I always kind of like to talk about dating app news on the show, if and when it's warranted. But I mean, if this is not the way that people are forgetting that other people are people and taking the humanity out of it, I don't know what is. People should not be sort of like baseball cards or given a monetary value in a gold package.
I don't know. I mean, this to me, I'm not going to say begs another question, because people get angry at me when I say something begs the question. But this creates a wonderment on my part. So these top picks are people who are more suited to or correspond more to your needs, wants, whatever. They fit your criteria more. Does that mean that they could be selecting those for everyone, but they don't, and they keep the top picks for the paying subscribers? So what are you getting when you're getting matched with other people?
The data set is already there, or else they wouldn't offer it as a package.
So I think if I can make an attempt, and I don't work at Tinder, so I don't know, but the way it reads is there's the algorithm that goes through and says, these are your matches, and everybody gets that for free, right? But if you pay for Tinder Gold, then someone will look at your interests and go, actually, what out of what the algorithm selected for you, these seem like the best bets. So we'll narrow it down for you. It's like a friend going through, and in this case, they're not your friend, but they're looking at your profile and saying, oh, you like sports. This one's kind of sporty, and so
there is something
another level of. The algorithm is like, of the universe of Tinder, here's everybody that matches you within a certain percentile. And this is somebody picking some interesting stuff out of there more subjectively, I guess.
Well, okay. If I compare it to people you might know that Facebook tries to offer up to me, most of the time it's because I have a lot of friends in common with this other person. And sometimes that's actually very valuable. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I might know you, or I want to know you, or, this is good that, we would become friends. I'm comfortable with this. So, and it's particularly because Tinder takes so much data from Facebook, and a lot of the apps do. That would also make sense. And I think there probably is some fatigue that dating apps realize, that people are like, there's just too many folks out here. I only want to do this for 5 minutes. I'd rather have a more curated list. Like that is advantageous. I can see why that would be attractive to somebody who's a little bit overwhelmed or busy, or all.
It's like giving your stack of matches to a trusted friend, say Heather from Have Such a Good Day, and going, just pick 10 for me out of here, and that you think I might be interested in, because I don't want to look at all.
Right. I'd probably want to know a little bit more about all the things that Tinder is putting together to decide who these people are. But I get the idea.
That's the question. I mean, either it is a deeper algorithm, or like go one level deeper in the Tinder algorithm, and like, if it's an algorithm, then it's a refined version of the algorithm that not everyone gets. If it's a person, I understand the intent of like, yeah, someone will handpick those. I would be very surprised if the people doing this wouldn't be like randomly selecting people after a couple of days of doing it.
Yeah, because that's how we get.
Like, yeah. At first,
I know exactly what you're
carefully
saying.
looking at the thing, and then you're like, all right, this one looks
10 or so, you're real careful, and after a while you get bored and like, it's fine. He has a soccer ball, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, he was with a lion.
Yeah.
Fine, right. And again, I don't want to seem like I don't believe in the power of dating apps. It's not too dissimilar from going to a bar where you think, oh, a lot of the people here might be my kind of people. So I've done my fair share of dating.
No,
I do feel like it starts to kind of tear away the fun of it a little bit, but again, that's how
it would be like going into the bar and asking the bouncer, like, pick 5 of these folks for me. And, send them over there.
And do it quickly. I paid a premium.
Yeah, right.
I'm a gold member. All right, moving on. This is very exciting. But the potential of it is very exciting anyway. A project designed to clean up 88,000 tons of plastic floating in what's being called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It's not good. It's a very, very bad, big garbage patch in the Pacific. Began on Sunday. The Ocean Cleanup Project started following its Ocean Cleanup System 001 from San Francisco to a trial site about 240 nautical miles offshore. That's about 260 miles. The hope is that a combination of wind and waves will push System 001 into a U shape of sorts and kind of start collecting the plastic as if it was picking it up. Then it's got a 10-foot long skirt hanging below that will collect pieces of plastic as small as a millimeter in size. So it's designed to clean up a lot of stuff. Smaller boats will later scoop them up and take them to shore for recycling. Now, after this initial trial, the boom will be lowered another 900 nautical miles to begin that much larger cleanup of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch in its entirety, if that's even possible, but why not give it a go? Crews will stay at the patch for about 6 months. And then the idea is that autonomous vehicles will do the work once the humans come back to shore later on.
So it's a big broom, basically.
It's a big net more than a broom. Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking it's a big broom that's collecting all the plastic.
It's a broom dustpan.
And the smaller boats are the dustpan, right?
Yes.
And the smaller boats come in because it's not picking it up itself. It's just trying to gather it all together so it's easier to cart away.
Exactly. Yeah, with a variety of large boats. And yeah, I mean, autonomous water vehicles sort of going back and forth. And, if this is something that is successful on any level, it's a great idea. And, humans probably don't want to live out on the garbage patch for very long. I applaud all the people who are involved in the project in its early stages, but it's a huge problem. I've only seen photos, but it's pretty disheartening to know that there's so much garbage out there. And I'm into it.
Also, the fish can swim under it. So
well, that's the hope, right? And that's why the initial net in the trial is so shallow, because 10 feet, you're like, you're going to miss a lot of stuff. But the idea is to not disrupt plankton and all sorts of like the ecosystem that's going on, not that far under the surface, way, way, way far offshore. That's really important. And
I understand 88 tons is not a small amount, but 260 miles offshore. I mean, how much of it?
It's 80,000 tons.
88. Yeah. So what did I say? 88,000 tons. Sorry. But I mean, it seems like I don't want to, diminish the merits of sending a giant broom in the ocean, but it seems to me like this is only going to be a tiny part of what needs to be picked up. And it's going to need to be.
Sure.
I guess it's a proof of concept that says, look, if we can make this trial run work at all, then we can start scaling it up, doing more, and load more than 16 tons.
And that's the idea, is that they're going to initially use this, work out if there are any kinks that they need to put into any subsequent models, and then they'll have essentially a fleet of these. So it won't be just one gigantic, U-net or boom that goes to the water. It'll be, half a dozen or more trawling the seas. And the idea is that you'll get most of the large plastic. Now, 8% of that plastic's already broken down into microscopic parts, and this boom won't fix it, but it can grab the other 90% of it, which is, the idea is to get it before it breaks down loses itself in a sea turtle or something.
It's a Sea-Roomba.
Yeah. That's the ultimate goal, is that it will be a sort of a Sea-Roomba.
These are the stories I get excited about, the way the rest of you get excited about space.
Because you're a Sequest girl.
Yeah, let's clean up the ocean. It's great.
I like the sea. I like water. One can like space and the sea at the same time.
It's
I
true.
bridge the gap between
It's
you.
true. It's true.
My life, my love, and my lady is the sea.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
As they sang in Brandy.
Just like a good sea broom.
Well, I hope that they will sing shanties of the success of the Ocean Cleanup System 001 and 002 and 003, or unless they go binary, I don't know. But yeah, I agree, Sarah. This is fascinating. All right, finish up with Japan's Renesas Electronics agreeing to buy California's Integrated Device Technology. That's a Silicon Valley company. And this will help Renesas push farther into semiconductors for autonomous cars. We've been kind of watching this. If you're following DTNS regularly, all of the different companies trying to get into autonomous cars. In fact, remember Broadcom, NXP, and Qualcomm were sort of in a love triangle of acquisition that fell apart for various reasons. But the reason NXP was a prize in that was because of their work with autonomous cars. Renesas has about 30% of the global market for microcontrollers in cars. In fact, they're second to NXP. IDT will then add to them the ability to manufacture analog semiconductors for wireless networks and sensors. That's something Renesas was not as proficient at. And that will let Renesas compete more in the Internet of Things car space. IDT also makes chips for data centers, so you've got a big, nice current revenue stream coming in there to fund yourself as you move into that growing autonomous car market, which right now is nothing, right? But everybody expects it to boom. Renesas expects to close the deal to acquire IDT sometime in the first half of 2019.
Excellent
I get
news.
excited about autonomous cars.
Listen, Tom, I get excited about the sea as you get excited about autonomous car.
You know what I love?
chips.
Space.
No, you know what? The reason I like stories like this is they may sound boring to you now, like Japanese company buying a company. Why do I care, Tom? You are going to sound way smarter about this in a year. When you're like, oh, you mean like when Renesas bought IDT? Because this is the story that pays off later. This is the thing where you understand why a company is doing something later, or why it comes out of nowhere. It seems like where did they come from? Why are they so successful? Because you know about these little acquisitions like this. Because if autonomous cars take off as everyone expects them to, then these companies are going to be rising on that tide. Whether it's Renesas that leads the way or whether they get bought by somebody else, is hard to tell. But it's something to keep an eye on. It's like, okay, they're starting to consolidate because everybody wants a little bit of that autonomous car money that's being developed.
And it does kind of underscore the importance of what autonomous cars bring in terms of market opportunity. Like Renesas is typically known for doing embedded microcontrollers, as well as like USB 3 or 2.0 controllers for add-on cards or PCs that, you use all the PCIe lanes for whatever, and you want to add stuff. That's what they've been doing. And this is clearly a growth market that they see as ripe for investing in. And, definitely look down the road, because it won't just be this one company that'll be investing in this technology, because it's huge. Market for them.
Folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com.
Thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You help us make the news every day, and we thank you for it. You can submit stories and vote on others at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Want to hang out on Facebook? Well, I've got good news. Facebook.com/group/dailytechnewsshow is where to go.
So that ocean story came off the subreddit, didn't it?
Sure did.
Look at that. See? It happens,
Yeah.
folks. It really does.
And I wouldn't have seen it otherwise.
Well, let's see what's in the mailbag.
Let's do it. A grateful patron, Andrew, that's self-proclaimed. Thank you, Andrew, says, Tom, since you mentioned the USPS mail scanning service on Good Day Internet, I thought I'd email in to mention how much I love it. We recently moved. I checked the box for informed delivery, as they call the service, on a whim. It's amazing to see the front of letters that are coming, meaning the group of letters that will be delivered to Andrew, as well as getting notified that packages are coming. Anyone in the US, as far as I can tell, can sign up without having to move, and that's informeddelivery.usps.com.
Yeah, so Good Day Internet is the full pre and post show plus DTNS all in one, available to patrons at patreon.com/DTNS. And I was talking about setting up my change of address because I'm moving and running across this informed delivery. And just like Andrew, I discovered that I was like, oh, I guess I'll try it. Somebody else emailed us, and I'll see if I can quickly find out who it was, and said that the reason they're able to do this is they already scan and image every one of the pieces of mail that comes through. I think this was Gardner who said this. So he said the mail sorting hardware already makes an image of each mail piece to sort and track it. It's just a matter of storing that so that you can access it. They don't open the mail. It's pretty cool that you're able to do that, even just to see what's coming, so you know whether that check is in fact in the mail.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Andrew, for emailing. And of course, thanks to Patrick Beja, especially because it's very late where you are, for being up with us. Patrick, what's been going on since we spoke with you last?
Well, you know what? There is another show you could be getting if you are a patron of DTNS.
Say what?
It's called MVGB. See, DTNS, MVGB. It stands for Monthly Video Game Briefing. And you know what? You can get it even if you're not a patron on its own feed called MVGB. It's a show that we did with Scott under the banner of Scott Johnson, of course, under the banner of Daily Tech News Show Labs, DTNS Labs, and it was the gaming show. It's graduated from there, and the angle we take on that show is that every month we bring you 2 or 3 news stories that are the important ones you want to know about if you're kind of an occasional gamer, if you're interested in games but not necessarily want to get all of the news that the core gamers get every day. So if you want a quick roundup monthly briefing about video games, then go subscribe to MVGB.
It's easy to find. Go to dailytechnewsshow.com/MVGB feed. We'll have that link. I'm putting in the show notes right now, and subscribe. You don't have to be a patron to get it at all. If you're a patron already, you've got it already. It's just going to show up in either the Good Day Internet feed or the commercial-free DTNS feed. It'll show up in both of them. You'll get it. But if you're just a subscriber to the public feed of Daily Tech News Show, then you should go add this and get that insight once a month from Patrick and Scott. It should be showing up in the iTunes store as well, but you can find it directly at dailytechnewsshow.com/MVGB feed. Thanks to everybody who makes it possible for us to do this by supporting us directly on Patreon at patreon.com/DTNS.
If you have feedback, I've got the email address for you, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Send us questions and comments, ideas. We're also live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 20:30 UTC, and find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with the aforementioned Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Nicely
Excellent.
done.
Very good show, everyone, and thank you for your patience.
It's worth waiting for, folks.
Hey, Tom, last technical question I have. You
Ever?
run the audio.
Is that
A lot of pressure, Patrick.
Until the next one.
All right. What's the question?
You still run the audio through Levelator, do you?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, so after you finish the recording, you levelate it and then edit it. Oh no, you don't edit it since it's all okay.
Yeah, it's live to tape, so I don't have to do much editing. But yeah, I take the levelated wave, I put it in Audacity, and export it as an MP3.
I see. Okay.
Is that wrong? Was that the wrong answer?
Oh no, I was curious. I'm reevaluating my production pipeline.
I see.
Do you still want to?
Yeah. What? Sorry, Roger.
Oh no, I say, did you still want to edit your audio, or do you just want to do live to?
No, I'm still editing it just a little bit. So, but I don't know why my mic has been having some, as we were discussing before the show started, some level issues in many of my shows. It varies widely, and I'm not sure it does it when I speak to, because here it's when I don't speak directly into the mic, it's a little bit lower, but not to the point that it becomes annoying. And in my shows, it sometimes does, and I don't know what is wrong and what's
Is that
happening.
mic European? Did you buy it in Europe or America?
I can't remember. Maybe Europe.
Well,
but-
because I'm wondering if it's just on strike.
Well, I'm sure it was made in the US. I mean, it's a
Eric
Hale
Rhodes.
PR.
Very, very droll. No, actually, do you run any kind of? I mean, do you use that mic for anything besides podcasting? You don't use it for gaming or nothing? Like,
Not really.
No, I've had, in all seriousness, I've had that, with the Heil PR40 running through a Mackie mixer. Sometimes when I record, it's just lower. And I think it has to do with the software, because it's usually a different setup somewhat.
No, but the thing is, it varies during the show, like from one sentence to another.
I see what you're saying. Huh.
That
sounds like a short.
I don't know.
well, that's what I was
Maybe.
wondering. Like, that sounds like the behavior of something that's auto leveling or gating your.
Or
I
that.
don't know. It's weird. And I mean, maybe it's my USB interface. I don't know. Anyway,
What's the name of the show, Ron?
Oh, the name of the show will be eBay turns heads with head gaze.
Oh, eBay turns heads. I like that.
Yeah, with
We
head
could just
gaze.
make it eBay turns heads, I think.
Or Tinder, the gold standard of wingmen. Looking for. Oh, I love this one. Somewhere beyond the Sea-Roomba. You know the.
SEA Roomba.
Beyond the Sea by.
Somewhere beyond the sea, Roomba. Cleaning for
Beyond the
me.
Sea. Bobby Darin.
Well, so many people did it. Sinatra did it too.
Yeah, but didn't he write the song?
Nobody wrote songs back then.
What are you talking? Everything was public domain. It just came out.
No,
of a
but I mean, like the songwriters never performed their own songs. That was a big deal in the '60s, right? It was like he writes his own songs.
Wait a minute, is that why Time Life had the singer-songwriter collection? So wait, are we just going eBay turns heads with head gaze?
I can't decide. There's
guys, I'm gonna go.
Okay.
All right.
It's late. Thank you very
Patrick.
much.
See you next
Many
week.
hugs and love. Bye. See you next week.
Paying for matches. Tinder, the gold standard of wingmen. I don't know.
Sarah,
Like,
you have to decide. I can't pick. Jesus, you can't hear me. Oh,
eBay turns heads with head gaze is at the top.
I heard my name.
what? Roger has some options for titles, and I like them all. So you have to
eBay
pick.
turns heads with head gaze.
I liked that.
Tinder, the gold standard of wingmen. And then, where was it? Somewhere beyond the Sea-Roomba. The last one?
Let's go with the ocean. Option
Eh. 3. Ocean it is.
Somewhere beyond the sea, Roomba.
What?
Cleaning for me.
Okay, well, that was a fun adventure. I mean, I'm still at a significant loss as to what I thought I fixed yesterday, but it's like, well, anyway, we could talk about it later.
I mean, let's just say, for those of you wanting to know, and I know there are people out there who are like, oh, well, I'm really interested. What was the technical issue that you tech experts had to solve? It was the equivalent of unplugging, having something not plugged in the end. It just took us a while to find it.
Yeah,
and we did. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest. Windows 10, don't use it very often. There was a mute option. Very buried. Didn't see it.
Yeah.
Looked for a while.
Don't know why it was muted either.
Nope.
There's
Didn't
no
make
rhyme or
any
reason why
sense.
it should have been,
Nobody
but it
asked it to.
was.
Yeah.
So when we figured that out, it all started working.
So please send your Snickers
Yes.
and your
Milky
Gears.
Ways and your M&Ms.
Actually, if
But
you
please
could
also bring
send
Twix because we really like Twix.
crackle bars, I could go with a crackle bar. Oh, I love crackle.
Now I wonder if I think what I'm gonna do. We're just gonna go ahead and make this whole system Windows. And it starts today.
Yay!
Yay!
If you want, you can install TeamViewer on it, and then I can remotely poke my nose if anything.
Remotely
Yeah.
really mess up your machine.
All right, so don't install it. Now that Tom's put it that way.
No, I'm just kidding.
No.
You're like the legal department. Well, you know.
Yeah. If you get too far into those settings, I never touch those. They make everything worse.
Roger, you want your eyes done? You want your LASIK done for free? Well, I don't know. There's some liability the company doesn't want to hold. It's like, all right. But even if I sign it doesn't matter if you sign a waiver. It's like, okay.
Well, let's see. That doesn't look so.
Oh! I keep wanting to ask this, and I keep forgetting. So the book's behind me. I'm about ready to pack up. As I slowly pack up the house for the move.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking, originally my thoughts were, well, I'll just leave them up there until the move. But now I'm getting anxious, and I was thinking it might be fun to just slowly replace them with something else that's not necessary to pack. But what could that be?
Is it something that you're is tossable or just easier
like
to
a
pack?
cardboard sign that says books used to be here, or I don't know, like a t-shirt.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, how about signs you might see in place of a book?
Mm-hmm. I will take requests.
It could be like the Twitter memes where it's like, describe a bad movie in 4 words.
Yeah, I could put different messages from the audience up there.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, put a sheet of butcher paper or something.
If you lived on this shelf, you'd be home right now and very cramped.
Or you could alternate it with a nice respectable message that someone puts up there, like, hey, go root whatever sports team, and you'll hold it for the day.
Immediately someone would want us to put up something about the Cubs. I'm just pretty sure that's how that works.
Well,
Maybe you have a little neon sign that says "Eat at Joe's."
I used to eat at Joe's in San Rafael. It's a good place.
If this might be too ambitious, but if someone, I don't know, do you have a picture frame you're not using? If somebody sent you an 8x10 of them wearing DTNS gear, they could be in the background.
Oh yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to say, you're not going to go nuts printing a bunch of photos, but if somebody
I've got some spare frames, or I could even just
yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be a nice frame. Just the idea of seeing yourself at the studio before it becomes a very similar studio in a new location.
I could actually just do a green screen.
That's
Since
true.
everyone thinks it's a green screen anyway.
You should
People
put yourself.
still say Tom, we know better. We can tell.
Yes.
Really?
Because it's fun for them.
It's fun. It's not because it really seems like.
I don't think so. No.
I don't think so. No. Well,
You don't have any old. It's too bad. Old computer boxes. You could just kind of make it seem like you're.
No, I don't have them here. I moved them already.
how much would you say percentage-wise you've done and have yet to do?
Oh, less than 10%.
Oh, okay.
Done. Yeah.
Okay. So it's moving well underway.
I've packed up all the books that sat to my left. I've packed up most of the closet that had all the crap that I would seemingly pull out of nowhere. And I've moved about half that closet already. The whole upstairs still needs to be packed. That's yet to come.
Although it seems like most of almost sort of the meticulous / heavy things are in the studio. So maybe you're getting the most, kind of the.
And we did hire the company that's moving us. We hired them to come in on the day before the move and finish packing. So if there's anything left, I'm thinking glassware and stuff where I get nervous. I'd rather somebody else break it than me. Someone insured.
Yeah.
And then the reason we've got them hired to basically pack up whatever boxes I don't take over there on my own, and the furniture. You need a truck for that. So
yeah. Yeah, the last time I moved significantly, I guess that's when I moved to LA. It was I kind of did the hybrid thing for the first time, which felt very indulgent, where I'm like, unpacking things. There are I mean, I've done a lot of work. I've gotten pretty much everything out of, closets and, you can see it all. But the moving company just like they packed my junk drawer and just stuff that's like time consuming and kind of dirty. And it was really nice to not do all of it.
Well, I've always packed all the stuff myself. In the olden days, I used to move myself, but I have too much big stuff now.
Me too.
But when we moved here from San Rafael, Google paid for Eileen to move. So they paid for somebody to pack it up. And that was the revelation to me of like, oh, this is very nice.
It's the first class of packing.
To have someone, and
You're
they
like,
just
this is
packed
very comfortable. I didn't really remember
anything.
that.
Like they just packed it all.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to splash out quite that much. So the way the company that I found, I love the way this works. They give you a maximum. They're like, if we pack all day the day before and we move everything the day after and you don't do a thing, this is how much it'll be. But the more you pack, the less the day of the packing will cost you. And the more you move, the less the day of the moving will cost you. So
is that calculated by time?
Yeah.
Well, what if they just work more slowly because they know that you packed a little bit already?
I mean,
you just kind of honor system.
No, well, part of it is like those guys.
They're movers after all. They're working
they don't really want to be there longer than they have to.
No, it's true. Yeah,
I'll be honest. Like they could do that, and then I think it would be reflected in their reviews. Like their reviews on Yelp and stuff are really good. So I don't think it's in their best interest to do that. They want to make you happy so that you tell everybody else.
Yeah, they'd be saying like, "Oh, a house cleaner is just going to clean slowly." It's like, well, that's not always true.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I only know this because I talked to the movers that moved me. It's like there's a limit on the truck, and then depending on traffic. And this is the thing with my movers; they wanted to move at a certain time because they wanted to skip traffic leaving the Bay Area on the way down to LA. And so they had this whole timing thing because they actually moved it to where my parents live out in the Central Valley, and then the next day they went down in the morning, but they had to skip the traffic because every extra minute was cost for the company to keep those guys running and the truck and all that stuff. So they try to minimize the time and maximize the amount of money.
I had the same. There was a company that they actually don't even really move from San Francisco to LA, but I had used them a few times. We had a good rapport. And when I moved to LA, they were like, we don't usually do this, but we could work something out. So yeah, it was the same thing. They were at my house in San Francisco. I think it was like a Tuesday or something at the crack of dawn get out of there as early as possible and then still stay on the 5 somewhere along the way and then meet me in LA the next day.
It's crazy. Like those guys.
It's a lot of work.
I guess we moved on a weekend maybe because I know that the movers came with the idea of packing up and leaving in the evening. They wanted to leave like 6 or 7 because then they drove part way down and then stayed overnight somewhere and finished the move the next morning. And I basically like saw them off, made sure that everything was out of the house, locked up the house, and then I hit the road and drove down with the dogs and a bunch of stuff that they wouldn't take, like cleaning fluid and alcohol and stuff.
Oh yeah, I had to drop that all off at the with Golden or Sunset Recycling.
Sunset Scavenger.
Scavenger, that's it. All the chemicals.
Chris King just messaged us on Patreon, and I love this. I want to do this more often. By the way, we should say goodbye to the video people. Thanks everybody for
bye, video people.
watching.
See you guys tomorrow.
You're the best video.